Venezuela has condemned President Trump's warning that its airspace should be considered closed as a communist threat. The foreign ministry in Caracas described his social media post as an extravagant, illegal, and unjustified aggression against the Venezuelan people. Earlier, Mr. Trump posted on social media to all airlines, pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers, please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety. Well, let's just show you some live pictures of the Venezuelan airspace that's been essentially emptied by Trump's post. The U.S. does not have the authority to close another country's airspace, but Mr. Trump's post could lead to travel uncertainty and deter airlines from operating there. Well, Washington says it wants to combat drug trafficking, but the Venezuelan government says the aim is to depose President Nicolas Maduro, whose re-election last year was widely denounced as rigged. And All America correspondent Sean Dilley sent this update from Washington. Tensions between the United States and Venezuela have been high for a long time now. At the center of that is down to who Venezuela might choose to call their allies that the United States might take issue with. But for President Trump, he's never made any secret of the fact that he's not a fan of President Maduro. During Donald Trump's first term in the White House behind me, he openly supported the removal of President Maduro as president of Venezuela. Since coming back in January for his second term, he's not used language that's quite as explicit as that when it comes to removing him, but he has gradually ratcheted pressure up, accusing the president of Venezuela of not doing enough to control drug dealing and also the transit of drugs to the United States. In the summer, there was a significant military deployment of submarine and naval troops. Earlier this month, that ratcheted up even further with the deployment of the largest warship in the world, the USS Gerald Ford, in a modern show of gunboat diplomacy. Well, earlier the president had posted to his Truth Social platform a message to airlines pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers, telling them that they should please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela as closed completely. Caracas they've responded angrily to America, describing them as having a colonial pretensions in Latin America, and of Mr. Trump's statement they have said that it is illegal, extravagant and unjustified. Sean Dilley there. Well, Jennifer Parker is adjunct fellow in Naval Studies at the University of New South Wales in CRA and international fellow at the London-based Council on Geostrategy. Here's her analysis. Clearly, the comments from President Trump about the closure of Venezuelan airspace are a precursor to potential strikes. Now, at least we know that he is thinking about that, otherwise you wouldn't talk about closure of airspace. This isn't the first time the US has done this over Venezuela, though. Less reported on, but about a week ago, the US issued a notice to airmen around airspace in Venezuela. So it's very clear that President Trump is weighing up his options right now in terms of how he can escalate further to apply problem pressure on Maduro to step down, and this is very much about regime change. This is not about counter-narcotics operations, but as I said in my introduction, he can't actually do this. He doesn't have the legal authority to close another country's airspace, does he? So will it actually have any impact? So it will have an impact. So no, the US don't have the legal authority to close airspace over Venezuela. It is common though when a country is considering a missile or air strikes against a country, that a notice to airmen or a closure of airspace occurs. And we saw that in the Middle East in June with the strikes around Iran. In some ways it is actually prudent to do that because you don't